Viewer discretion is advised. Your fave will be criticized.
That's Jan.
That's Chris.
And welcome to CCTV, the non-stop pop show.
And today we'll be discussing GOT7's first title track after leaving JYP Entertainment, NANANA.
If you're wondering who we are, Shan and I have a huge range of experience in the music industry, from performing on stage to working at record labels. So we have a lot of insight into the crazy music industry. And our show is now on Patreon, and you can join the crew at patreon.com/cctvpops. Shout out to our crew members, Lisette, Lily, and Emily. Thank you for your support. So,
yes, thank you.
We're finally doing an episode about GOT7. Fully about GOT7. But what were your thoughts on GOT7? Do you like them?
I like GOT7 for sure. Went to the Spinning Top tour. I was in I Got Say before they were called I Got Say. We were called I Got7 at first, and then I Got Say became the thing later. But yeah, you know, big fan of them. I fell off a little bit, but because of Monster X, but I definitely enjoyed them.
Yeah.
And I think that I was actually looking forward to this one comeback because I do like their music, and I do like when JB and the members actually work on their music. Mm-hmm. Or even Ear Attack, who did things like, I think Fly with them and all this other stuff like that. But when JYP touches it, it's kind of like, he's a little stuck in the past with them. Yeah. So it's nice to hear them make their own music. What about you? How do you feel about GOT7?
Yeah, they've never been my favorites, but I've always kind of... I like some of their title tracks for sure. Mm-hmm. And I was excited that they were able to come back, even after leaving JYP. And it's exciting to hear them do what they want to do. You know, like This is them without all that external,
hands.
Yeah, external hands in the pot. Yeah, this is the seven of them doing what they want. This is the song they wanted to release. So I do enjoy that. So we're going to talk about the song NANANA and discuss if it's a bop or a flop.
This is It Boppin? Here we listen to the song and discuss the production, lyrics, video, and everything in between. So let's find out. Is it a bop or a flop?
NANANA, done by Royal Dive, Ehwak, and Dev Soul, aka member JB. The title track is from the self-titled EP GOT7, released under Warner Music Korea. This is the group's first comeback after all the members left JYP Entertainment in January 2021. The members all signed with different companies and have pursued their own solo activities, but with JB's leadership and the approvals from their respective teams and companies, and what we assume to be carve-outs or non-exclusive clauses in their contracts, the group members were not only able to keep the GOT7 name, but also still release music as part of the group, with Warner Music Korea distributing everything, which is really impressive because honestly, this is, I don't want to be like, this is a precedent being set, but I mean, you have SJ Label with SM, you have 2PM who kind of did it, Mamamoo is doing it right now, but for a group to own the name, and have it be theirs and be safely in their hands and still be able to perform the songs, unlike with Highlight and things like that, it's actually really impressive. So it's really cool that all 7 of them were able to come back. And actually keep the name. It's cool.
Yeah, I was reading the interview that they did at the press conference earlier this morning, and they basically were like, actually JYP was very generous and kind of didn't like put up a fight or anything. He was happy to kind of give them the rights, and so I think that's awesome, and that's rare. Not just in K-pop, but just in music in general. People tend to be quite petty with this type of thing. I'm glad this worked out for them. But let's talk about the song itself first, before we get into the visuals, because this is a very visual-focused group. But the song itself, so what do you think of the production?
The song is really pleasant. I thought I wasn't going to like it after listening to the medley, right? No offense to Mark, but he's not like my favorite vocalist rapper in this group. He's always been really cute. He's always been a solid boy group member. But I wasn't like, oh my god, this is the voice I want to hear that's going to draw me to the song. Or was it? No, it was Bam Bam. Either way, it was one of the rappers, and I wasn't thinking, oh, this is a good part. I didn't felt like I was going to be attracted to the song. But it's right up my alley. It's totally up my alley. It's future bass. I love future bass. And it's R&B. It's right in line with Lullaby and Look, 2 other songs created with JB/Dev Soul. I mean, he had a hand in those other 2 songs, and in this one. Sonically, the song isn't super complicated, which is nice, because K-pop has become a bit of confetti at a concert. Like, all over the place, right?
Mm.
And this song's understated approach is refreshing. The bass line and the drums give it a nice groove. And it kind of gives reason to their like 2012 hip hop ad libs and the skirts left and right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, certain things you can take the boy out of the skirt, but you can't take the skirt out the boy, right? So it's nice, but the song kind of just sounds like a beat I found back in the day on YouTube, which isn't terrible. It's a distinct sound, that R&B, future bass, K-pop sound.
Mm.
I like certain little samples, like the action sample that's there. But yeah, there's nothing really complicated about this song, which is interesting considering how they haven't released anything for about a year. What did you think about the production?
Production is nice. Yeah, I agree. It feels very laid back and very easy listening. It isn't noisy at all. You know, it's quite laid back, which is nice. I like kind of how echoey and ethereal the whole thing is. Almost every instrument has some sort of reverb in there. I especially like the kind of plucky keyboard thing that kind of is there the whole track, really. And yeah, the little vocal moments that they put in there, the skirt and the all that.
Yeah.
Don't love that. I don't know. I think it just feels a little. I mean, they're kind of older now, so it just kind of feels like, yeah,
Corny.
like you don't try to feel young. I don't know. Don't try to fit in too much, I think. So that stuff I didn't love as much, but I think overall, the production is dynamic. I like the slight build that it has for the chorus. There's a nice depth there, and I like the pullback for the bridge. It is a very kind of just typical pop structure, though, which isn't a bad thing. But I wouldn't say it's extremely memorable production-wise. There's no like moment where I like really remember it. So. Yeah,
no, totally. I totally agree. And vocally, it's interesting because a lot of them are singing. Everyone is singing at this point. It's interesting how once they separated, each member of the group is suddenly a vocalist. And not for nothing, not everyone needs to sing. I'm not going to say who. Mark and Bam Bam. They don't need to sing. They don't have the tones that I find to be like really nice with singing because they tend to be a little bit more nasally.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. But for the most part, I think everyone sounds pretty good. Even with me saying, oh, no one should be singing if they're a rapper. Even with me saying that. I think they sound actually pretty decent. And there aren't harmonies. Even though everyone and their mother is singing, there aren't any harmonies. Not too many strong harmonies. And I think with a song like this, with so much space in between for it to breathe, it could have done nice with some. But there are some echoey ad-libs.
Yeah.
And then there are some harmonies in the chorus with Jin Young, JB, and I think Mark singing the
octave
OAOs.
Yeah.
They're actually singing in harmony for that part, like the OAO. I kind of hit it. My voice is shot, y'all. I went to the Monsta X concert and another concert the night before. But yeah, I'm not saying it needs a whole Mama Moo harmonic section, but a little something would have been nice. And I'm surprised that at the last chorus there wasn't a little bit of a whoa from Young J or something. Young J has it in him to do a little something.
Yeah, I feel like that's never really been a thing though for GOT7, right? Like they've.
No, it has.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not the whole like riffing off at the end, but Young J is their main vocal that kind of gives them that little extra.
Right.
Yeah.
Or like even there wasn't like a slight switch up in the melody or even anything. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I've always kind of been a bit so with GOT7 vocally overall. I just think the balance of tone just isn't very dynamic between the 7 of them. And they don't really have. Like, I think Young J and JB have good voices, but I don't think they're distinctive enough to kind of be that foundation that kind of carries it. You know what I mean? I think that's always been something that I felt was missing from the group, and the way they've decided to lay out the vocals in this track, I think I appreciate that no one is stretching too hard. Everyone is very much in their range. I will give it up for Jackson. It's almost kind of rare, right, to let him lead a chorus. But he actually sounds pretty good. Sometimes when he goes to the higher range of his voice,
he
can
sounds
get
like
a
me
little,
right now. Yeah.
But it actually sounds good and was produced well in this case. But yeah, I think there definitely is a level of processing here that is a bit unnecessary. Like they just all the vibrato is just gone. You know, like they just sound a bit robotic. There's no breath sounds at all, which is a production choice, but it just makes them sound not human. And I think it's especially noticeable in Mark's verse, where he just sounds very robotic and with no emotion. And also parts of Young Jae's chorus as well. Like, I'm not sure what they did, but it just, you just tell they put a Melodyne, but they use Melodyne on it, which is like a pitch correction software. Just, no one sings like that, you know?
Right.
And so yeah, that throws me off a little bit, but I'd say overall they sound good. And I think the vocal choices overall were good and they match the song.
Yes, there's no Super Saiyan tenor voices in here. I will say though, the baton passing of the vocals aren't my favorite. Like you said, melodically it didn't go anywhere really. Interestingly enough, Yoongyum has always been forced to kind of sing in this nasally part of his voice. When he first started singing, I thought he was Jin Young. So they've all, when you're making a group, when you think about K-pop group, if a member is not there, could the other member sing it? And when you have Yoongyum singing in a lower range like that, it's like, yeah, he could have sung so much lower. He could have been singing in a way that's A, healthy for his voice, and B, that sounds a lot more pleasing to the ear. So it's really nice to hear that. And honestly, like I said, they're not like a Super Saiyan tenor group. They're not that. And I think as they get older, it's nice to hear them sing in their natural voices. And even with the processing, I think when they performed on a radio show, they sound pretty close to the record, which is good, you know, because that makes me kind of feel like, why did you put all that effect on it if it is decent enough to perform live on a radio? Because even Mark sounded decent in his parts.
Yeah, I watched the radio performance as well. One thing, this is more in general, but like when you do shows like that, the backing track being so loud just is unnecessary. Because like, for example, Young Jae was like flat for every chorus. And you wouldn't notice that really if the backing track wasn't as loud as it was. You know,
I think we talked about this. When I'm recording, if I hear myself too loudly, I'm like, I get flat. It happens. It's weird.
And so it just makes them sound off when they're really not, you know? Like,
exactly. Right.
So that's always annoyed me. But I agree. They sounded decent in that performance. So all the Melodyne is unnecessary. Definitely an interesting choice. But what do you think of the lyrics of the track?
They're so romantic. They're so cute. That's one thing I will say about JB. He can write a good little love song. Okay, this boy knows how to write a good love song. But yeah, I'm a sap for these kind of lyrics, especially if they have like a decent melody and production, something that's like earwormy in a sense. The first verse is about a girl or a person, whatever you want to say, and how they anticipate communication and want to get closer to her. The second verse is about them finally being on the date and finally being with her, and the awkwardness and the nervousness of it all, and like almost like that sensual tension. I'll say sensual tension. And the bridge is a nice, like, you know, just relax moment. For all the I Gotta Say that knows where Just Relax is from, kudos to you. If you don't know, go look it up. Jackson says just relax on a show. It's so funny. But yeah, I think the chorus is the most fun part because it's na-na-na here in America or Western music. It just sounds like an ad-lib, like na-na-na-na-na-na-na. But in Korea, na is me. No, it's you. Na is me. So it's like, who wants to make you laugh? Na, na, na. Who wants to be there for you? Na, na, na. So basically it's like, who wants to be your man? Me. I love that. I think that's so sweet. But again, very simple. Nothing too crazy about the lyrics. And it feels very much like a love song to the I Gotta Say, but also it could be applied to anyone's like relationship. So it's cute.
Yeah, I think it's very sweet, and I think it matches the way the production is. Again, that kind of more just kind of laid back vibe. Going back, you mentioned the bridge. That actually is probably my favorite part of the song. I think Yoongyum sounds really good. I think JB sounds really good there. And I like that. I think that is probably the highlight for me. But yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, they are a visual group. So what did you think of the music video?
The video, it actually has a lot of like symbolic things, and I was a little surprised considering how their last video was just very understated, just neutrals and I mean, you could read into it if you'd like, but I feel like they were done. With this one, they seem a little bit more refreshed. The boys are all together looking really awkwardly snazzy in the family portrait beginning, which kind of reminds me of their last song because it was kind of just awkward museum frame. And then there's a little green bird that flaps in, and it's the I Gotta Say. It's so cute. I'm like, oh, that's cute. So it's very symbolic in that sense. And the interesting about this video, even with all the random random AF CGI, it all means something to them because the boys are the designers and architects of their new sound and their new home, essentially their new world for I GOT7. The I GOT7. They're packing up boxes with the NANANA tape, and the boxes are NANANA. And then I think Jin Young is like the one designing it at first, and it says GOT7 New Home. And then Bam Bam is inside the world.
Yes.
You know, picking out, almost taking inventory. Jackson and JB are looking on, like, you know, like in that scene in Zoolander where he's looking at his miniature school for kids who can't read good.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. I think it's kind of cute because they're like trying to figure out how to make their world perfect for Agase and themselves. So like a happy medium. And there's like a little pink cloud that means something. They're sprinkling their own little, you know, whatever that sparkle stuff was. And then when they finally get to their new home, you kind of notice, like in Jin Young's part, like toward the bridge, he's looking out the window. It's dark outside. He can only see his own reflection. The guys are singing. The lights are kind of flickering. So it kind of seems very vacant outside. And then it's dark and like, oh, no one's waiting for us. But then the lights come on, they dancing happily, and it's all like this little story. It's like, hey, here's our new home. Welcome. We're happy to have you here. Welcome back, or even welcome to and welcome back to us. You know, so I like that. But I was really surprised about how like cotton candy and flowery it was, because they've never done that before.
Yeah, I agree.
Really.
I was surprised at all the flowers and stuff. I think because I just listened to the song first before I watched the video, and that's not what I was picturing in my head. But I thought it was nice. I liked how pink and like light green it was. Like, I think that was an interesting choice. Good call on the CGI stuff, because I was like,
thanks.
I didn't love the full CGI moments, to be honest, but it makes sense given your story. But I feel like all the sets that they actually had, and like the birds and stuff, like that was dynamic enough without needing full green screen CGI moments. But I get it in the larger context. I will say I was a little worried that it would look very cheap just because they're technically independent now, but they did a great job. It's very much on par with their older stuff. So definitely they put some money into this, which is good.
Yes.
And yeah, you know, I think the scene at the end was really the best when they're just having fun. I think as I mentioned earlier, it's awesome that all 7 of them genuinely want to be there. And they're doing this fully on their own terms, and I love that. So it was nice to see them so loose in that way.
Oh, totally. And I think it's interesting because they're more loose during that part than they were in the other parts of the choreography, which is really funny because I was like, oh, boys, it's been a minute.
Yes. What did you think? So they have performed it. They performed at their fan con, which there are some fan cams of it on YouTube. So yeah, what did you think of the choreography?
They are so cute. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So being apart for so long and not really dancing that much, I think Yugyeom, kind of sort of JB, Bam Bam, and let's be real, Jackson's the one who's been dancing the most.
Yeah.
Yugyeom kind of, and Bam Bam are kind of sitting at the same kind of, JB maybe. Everyone else, I don't know. But it was interesting watching it because Jackson's the one that's like the tightest in a sense.
Yeah.
Because he does hit it a little bit like differently than everyone else, and that's interesting because usually they do try to stay together, but it was almost so apparent that they weren't. So I think in that sense, they have chemistry, but it's a chemistry that's very much like beads on a rainbow, like beads on a rainbow, colors of the rainbow. Like it's as opposed to like one cohesive, like blue, sky blue, cobalt blue, blah, blah. It was like red, green. They all make sense together. Like it's pretty together, but they're all different colors in the sense of like someone brings this kind of energy, someone's kind of smoother. JB's very much like loosey goosey while he's dancing, so it doesn't look like Mark's, who hasn't danced in a while, so he's a little bit tighter. And then Jin Young, not bad. I will give him that. I was watching. I was like, oh, he's not bad, but it's stiffer in the arm areas. But it was kind of, it's cute. It's cute in a way because it's just like, you know what? They actually put the work in because the dance has a lot of like pockety kind of moments. And a lot of it's very just quick and oneies and a twoies kind of movements, which is a little bothersome because the song doesn't need all that. But I did like Jin Young and Yugyeom's moment in the beginning when they're dancing together. That was cute. But yeah, it felt very TikTok-ish at certain points. Like there's a kick thing that comes with a lot of grime music that people are doing now, and that was in there, and they've always been like that. They try to integrate pop culture dances into theirs when it doesn't really necessarily make sense, you know. I've noticed that for years.
And that never ages well either, so don't love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for the chorus, I wish for the na 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 part, they would have focused on the pointing because they only did it once. Na na na. And then it turned into a kick. That grind kick. And I'm like, it could have been na na na, point, 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 na 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 na, you know? What about you? Because I know you have your
Yeah,
you see
this definitely wasn't my favorite choreography. I feel like, okay, let's talk about the verses first, because definitely not the smoothest choreography. It didn't look natural. Like, it didn't flow naturally. You had all these kind of awkward weight shifts, and then like one leg goes up, and then you suddenly have to put your weight on that leg to go to like that other direction, and it just didn't look natural. It didn't look comfortable to do. And I think that is the most important part of performance choreography, actually, is that it looks natural. So even if it is hard, you execute it in a way that it doesn't look hard. And so I think, they haven't been together in a minute. And so, they might just be a little rusty, and it was their first time performing it as well. So, it's not like ingrained in their body and muscle memory yet. So that's also a part of it. But definitely a little stiff. I'd say neck is something I noticed in a couple of them. The neck is very stiff, and when you're doing something, where the chorus especially, where it gets a little slower and a little more groovy, and your neck is stiff, and you're trying to like do leg and like switch again, do all these weight shifts and like switch different directions and stuff. It's very that if your neck is stiff, your whole upper body is stiff, and so it affects the whole thing. And I appreciate that they are all trying to kind of put their own flavor in. You notice that especially in like the second chorus and kind of towards the end, and that's fun. They look like they're having fun, but when you do something like that, then you have to make sure your timing is perfect, because that's actually the most important part of like making a group of dancers look together, is actually as long as your timing is fully correct. Even if someone's arm is slightly off, if someone even forgets to put out an arm or something, but if your timing of your body was like matched with everyone else, it's not that noticeable actually. But in this case, it was like, people were early or late, and it just looked a little messy. But again, they were having fun, and I think they weren't trying to look super tight, right? It didn't feel like that was what they were really going for. So it's okay. But bar even looking at the execution, just looking at the actual choreography itself, I just felt, I agree, it was more complicated than it needed to be, and I didn't like the TikTok-y elements of it. So
But all that being said, we have vocals, production, the lyrics, performance. What is your rating?
Yeah, so I will actually give it an 8. I think it is a decent song. I don't think it stands out extremely within their discography, but it's good. Yeah.
Right.
It didn't disappoint me when I heard it. So, well, how about you?
Right. Okay, so I was teetering between 7.5 and 8, honestly. Like you said, this isn't something that's like terrible. But for me, it doesn't stack up against like a look or a lullaby even,
Oh, nice.
Which
Yeah,
JB
lullaby's still my number one.
Which JB has worked on. So there's no excuse as to why, except for maybe we don't have access to this producer, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to work with this. We want to work with this person, whatever. And for them to have come with this very slow, understated song, it's okay. Well, not me like long wind. I'll say this later. Okay, so my final score is, my final score is an 8, actually, yes. But yes, now I'm going to say it. The song is a bop, but it's a bibbidi bobbidi bop. But I have to say, I wish they had not come with this song, because it feels like, oh, hey guys, we didn't leave, but you guys were gone for a whole year, and it was very obvious that you were gone. Why not take a risk and maybe second verse, switch up the production, give us a little bit more energy, give us a little bit more of something with a more cathartic release at the end of the song. Something that makes me think that at the end of the song, like, instead of giving me like a concert encore performance song, give me opener, and this doesn't feel like an opener.
I understand.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
I think so. So from kind of just looking at the interviews and stuff, it definitely feels like they're kind of at the point where they're just like, oh, we don't have anything to prove. We promised the fans that we'd be back, and after all this legal crap, we made it happen. And so here's a cute song that we made, and some cute song. Yeah, like actually, the EP is actually decent as well.
Yeah.
Gave it a few listens today, and yeah, I think all the songs are decent. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but I feel like they're creatively, they're probably not even wanting to do that right now. They're probably just like, yay, we get to actually be together as GOT7, yay!
Yeah.
And I think that's maybe where they're at right now, and it might take a few more comebacks and stuff to get to that point where they're like, okay, now let's like actually like do something crazy.
Yeah, let's take a risk.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I'm excited to see what they do next.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm more so just, I want Jin Young to properly go solo. He did release Dive a few months ago, or maybe it was more than that now. I loved that, and I usually love all the songs he writes, so I'm kind of just waiting for that. But I'm glad they're back together. I'm glad that they managed to kind of do what most K-pop groups cannot do when they leave their companies. And so, yeah, good for them.
Totally. Super proud of them. What you got? I got 7. So yeah, I'm happy. Or what is it now? GOT7. They've changed their insa so many times, but I'm so super happy. Whatever insa we get is a good insa because that's all 7 of them. We got all of them. No tragedy has befallen them, which is great. The song is not bad, and the album is not bad either. I do wonder if they'll get more time to perform in a more public setting. Even if it's not a music show, I would love to just kind of see them have some more performances with the song, because I've seen some of the film segments that they've had, even just on some variety, and the boys still got it. They still have the chemistry. They still have the love for each other and the fans. So that's what I think will keep them propelling in the future. And I'm happy about that. So yeah. So I gotta say, what do you think about the track? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or message us at CCTV Pops on all social media. And you can also join us on Patreon. We'd love to hear all of your thoughts, and you can help us decide our next episode topics. So please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. And for our listeners, give us a rating and a review on your podcast platform of choice. Until next time, that's Chris.
That's Shan.
And we are CCTV. Woo!